Looking for magic cards? At flipsidegaming.com you can now use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10 while supporting the channel at the same time. Hello and welcome to another episode of Friendly Friday, a weekly series where we take a look at budget, standard or modern decks, and this week we're taking a look at Naya Dinosaur Ramp in standard, a pretty typical ramp deck using non-creature spells to accelerate our mana, so opposing removal spells don't slow us down, and then we have some giant dinosaurs to close out the game with. So let's take a look at the entire deck, starting out with our 1-drops, where we have 4 copies of Commune with Dinosaurs, which lets us take a look at the top 5 cards, and then we can reveal a land or dinosaur and put it into our hand, so we can find more lands if we need those, and if we're lucky enough to find a big dinosaur, we can reveal that and put it into our hand if we're looking for more action. Then we have 4 copies of Thunderherd Migration, which is our best ramp card in the deck, as a 2-mana accelerant, letting us search our library for a basic land and put it into play tapped, as long as we can reveal a dinosaur from our hand, which is why we need a critical mass of dinosaurs in our deck, and if we can't reveal a dinosaur we have to pay an extra mana, so that makes it a 3-mana ramp spell. Then we have a bunch of 3-mana ramp spells in the deck as well. We have 4 copies of Beneath the Sands, which lets us search our library for a basic land, put it into play tapped, but we can also cycle Beneath the Sands for 2 mana later in the game if we don't need more lands to draw a card. Then we also have 3 copies of Gift of Paradise, which is an enchantment that gains us 3 life when it enters a battlefield, so buffers our life total against aggressive decks, and then the enchanted land can tap to make 2 mana of any color, so also fixes our mana nicely. Then we have 2 copies of Wayward Swordtooth, which is kind of a strange card as a 3-mana 5/5 dinosaur, but it kind of acts like a ramp card as we get to play an additional land each turn. There is a drawback here since you don't get 3-mana 5/5s for free, so the Swordtooth can't attack or block unless we have the City's Blessing, and of course the Swordtooth has Ascent, so as soon as we have 10 or more permanents in play, we Ascent, gain the City's Blessing, and then the Swordtooth can attack and block, and of course a 3-mana 5/5 is pretty efficient. Then our last ramp card is Hour of Promise, 5 mana to search your library for any 2 lands, and when Hour of Promise resolves, if we have 3 or more desert lands in play, we get to make 2 2/2 zombie creature tokens, so those help us pressure controlling decks or help us block against more aggressive decks until we can cast our giant dinosaurs, and making those zombies plus getting to search for 2 lands also helps us immensely in getting to the City's Blessing for our Wayward Swordtooth and our other Ascent card in the deck. Then we have 1 intermediate dinosaur before we get to the real expensive ones. We have 4 copies of Regisaur Alpha, which for 5 mana is a 4/4, giving other dinosaurs we control haste, and when the Alpha enters the battlefield we also get to make a 3/3 dinosaur creature token with Trample, which of course will have haste thanks to the Alpha, so that generates a lot of power and toughness and sets up our future dinosaurs by giving them haste. And 1 Elder Dinosaur that combines particularly nicely with Regisaur Alpha is Etali Primal Storm, a 6-mana 6/6 Elder Dinosaur. It's a legendary creature, so we only play 2 copies, and when Etali attacks we get to exile the top card of each player's library, and then if it's a non-land card we get to cast it for free, so that's a pretty nice way to gain some card advantage as well. Then we also have 1 copy of Zetalpa, Primal Dawn, 8 mana for a 4/8 Elder Dinosaur with Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample and Indestructible, so pretty difficult to deal with for the opponent. Next up we have 2 copies of Wakening Sun's Avatar, 8 mana for a 7/7 that comes with a nice one-sided sweeper. As long as we cast the Avatar from our hand, we get to destroy all non-dinosaur creatures, and of course we don't have any non-dinosaurs in our deck, so it's going to be a nice one-sided sweeper against non-dinosaur decks. Next up we have 2 copies of Gishath, Sun's Avatar, 8 mana for a 7/6 with Trample, Vigilance and Haste, and when Gishath deals combat damage to a player, we get to reveal that many cards from the top of our deck, and then put any dinosaurs revealed this way into play for free. And last but not least, we have 2 copies of Zacama, Primal Calamity, 9 mana for a 9/9 with Vigilance, Reach and Trample. When Zacama enters the battlefield, if we cast it, we get to untap all our lands, and then we have some nice abilities to use all those lands on. We can pay 3 mana to deal 3 damage to a creature, we can destroy an artifact or enchantment, or we can gain 3 life. And then taking a quick look at our mana base, which is pretty complicated for this deck since we need a critical mass of deserts to make Hour of Promise function. So we have a total of 4 copies of Hashep Oasis, which is a green desert that comes into play untapped, and then we can also sacrifice it later to give a creature +3/+3. We also have 4 copies of Desert of the Indomitable, which enters the battlefield tapped, but we can also cycle it for 2 mana. to draw a card later in the game. And our final desert is Shefet Dunes, which is a white desert that comes into play untapped, and we can also sacrifice this to give all our creatures +1/+1, but that's probably not going to come up very much in our deck. Then we also have a bunch of basic lands. We have 5 forests, 4 mountains, and 3 plains. Want to make sure to have a lot of basics to search up with our various ramp cards. And then we also have 4 copies of a Rootbound Crag, which enters the battlefield untapped as long as we control a mountain or a forest. And last but not least, 1 copy of Arch of Orazca, which is also a nice one that we can search up with Hour of Promise if we already have enough deserts, as we can pay 5 mana to draw a card if we have the City's Blessing. And with a card like Hour of Promise, it's going to be pretty easy to gain a City's Blessing if we can get those zombie tokens as well. Then quickly going over the sideboard, we have 4 copies of Ranging Raptors, which is a 3 mana 2/3 with Enrage that searches up a basic land if it's dealt damage, so we can bring in Ranging Raptors against aggressive decks as a way to both protect our life total but also ramp us. Then we have 3 copies of Ixalan's Binding to deal with problematic permanents, more specifically recursive threats like Rekindling Phoenix or the Scarab God. We also have 2 copies of Thrashing Brontodon as a dinosaur that can also deal with artifacts or enchantments. Then we have 2 copies of Fiery Cannonade as our sweeper of choice, just because it's easier on the mana than Sweltering Suns, since getting double red in the early game can be tricky. And finally we have 2 copies of Nezahal Primal Tide that we can bring in alongside those 2 islands in the sideboard against control decks, where we can take out our Wakening Sun's Avatar and some plains, since Wakening Sun's Avatar is not going to shine against control decks, while Nezahal is great, being uncounterable and drawing us a card whenever the opponent casts a non-creature spell. So that's the deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Alright, we're on the draw with a pretty decent hand. We've got a turn for Regisaur Alpha, some more ramp in case we pick up a more expensive dinosaur. Turn 1 Shefet Dunes into Legion's Landing, so could be up against a vampire deck of some sort. Let's just play a tapped desert, say go. Concealed Courtyard, so black-white. Take 1, opponent says go. Here we have the option of cycling the Beneath the Sands, which we could do here end of turn, since we already have 2 gifts, but I kind of like keeping the Beneath the Sands just to ramp, since we do have a Gishath in hand, so 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think we keep the Beneath the Sands in hand for now. Opponent says go. Alright, let's run out Hashep Oasis, and I think we just Gift of Paradise here, enchanting one of our deserts. Don't think we need to play around Field of Ruin. Playing Gift instead of Beneath the Sands does expose us to something like a cast out getting rid of the Gift, but that does leave us the option of maybe cycling the Beneath the Sands later in the game. Next turn we can play out Regisaur Alpha to put some creatures in play. And our opponent's still not doing much, so they could have some removal spells in hand that they want to play. I think I'm fine with running Regisaur Alpha into a removal spell, and then next turn we can play both our ramp spells to set up Gishath. Regisaur Alpha, and I think I'm fine with attacking with the dinosaur token here. Opponent takes it, untaps. And the second Legion's Landing, not exactly where the opponent wants to be here, just making another life-linking vampire token. And no attacks, alright, so we kind of have free reign here. Picked up Hour of Promise, which we may actually want to cast over our 2 ramp spells here. I think we can start by attacking with both our dinos. Opponent takes it. And then second main, let's tap some mana. And here we want to get at least 1 desert, since we already have 2, and then our Arch of Orazca. So I think we get Shefet Dunes here, and then Arch of Orazca. Make 2 zombies, still get to play a land, say go. And Dusk Legion Zealot draws him a card at the cost of a life. And looks like Gishath is gonna get in there next turn, since opponent can't have much in the way of removal for it. Yeah, can only play Gishath here, can't do anything else. And Gishath makes an appearance. And that's just gonna be a concession from the opponent. Don't even get to take a look at our library to see how many dinosaurs we would hit. Alright, so up against a vampire deck, Fiery Cannonade looks like an easy inclusion, but I think that's about it. And then can always shave a Swordtooth since it's the lowest impact card in the deck. And let's see, is there any big dino that's ineffective in this matchup? Maybe we can shave an Etali as well and try this configuration. Could make an argument for Ranging Raptors if the opponent has a particularly aggressive start, but I think overall we would rather have the actual ramp cards so we don't have to rely on the Ranging Raptors getting damaged. Alright, this hand is interesting. We do have Fiery Cannonade, which could be very good in the matchup, but we are missing a red source, and we don't have any cheap ramp cards, so if this hand is a bit of a gamble, relies pretty heavily on Fiery Cannonade, but I think I'm willing to try it for science. Our deck doesn't mulligan particularly well since most ramp decks need a critical mass of both ramp cards and payoff cards. Beneath the Sands is a good pickup, so hopefully we can find a red source with Commune here. And Mountain is perfect, yep, want that over the desert despite the Hour of Promise. I think just having the red mana is more important, since we might have to Cannonade on 3, and we might not have the luxury of casting Beneath the Sands first. A Danto Vanguard could be an issue. So now that we see our opponent curving out a bit more, maybe Ranging Raptors has more merit. Alright, so I think we're just playing Mountain, saying go. Don't really want to cycle Beneath the Sands yet, but we'll see what our opponent does here. Gets in for 5. I'll take it. And the second Vanguard. Alright, so those are a problem here, since Fiery Cannonade doesn't actually deal with those. So let's play Crag, say go, and Cannonade in the opponent's attack step. Legion's Landing, alright, so we do get to get a little bit of value out of the Cannonade at least. Cannonade, hope they forget to make their Vanguards indestructible. Not very likely though. At least we get rid of 2 vampires, opponent doesn't get to flip Legion's Landing, and they might be stuck on 2. But we are taking a beating here. Alright, untap another Beneath the Sands, so yeah, play is pretty simple here. Beneath the Sands for a Plains. And now our decision of getting the Mountain over the desert could come back to bite us, as we can't Hour of Promise and have the 3 deserts to make the 2 zombies. So we drop to 1, no room for error. But on the bright side, our opponent is stuck on 2. Thunderherd Migration we cannot cast here, so yeah, we just have to make a Regisaur Alpha and stay on defense. Opponent is at 11, so by paying 8 to make their Vanguards indestructible, they did go pretty low here, but still not low enough where we can actually start attacking. Let's see if they get in there, they do. Alright, so we're definitely blocking. Not much of a choice. They could have a trick here, or they can just make both indestructible, but then I guess they would drop to 3 and be at risk of dying to the Regisaur Alpha. Alright, looks like they're just letting 1 die, so we might not be dead yet. Get to untap, find a forest. Let's see if we cycle. Still have enough mana to play Hour of Promise, and then we would still have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. So I guess cycling Beneath the Sands is pretty low cost here. So let's try it. Alright, we just found another migration. So let's Hour of Promise it up. I think we get 2 copies of Hashep Oasis here, which seems the most relevant card. Don't really need double white at the moment. And this sets us up in case we find a second Hour of Promise. Alright, do we get to live for another turn here? Yahani, yep, that's a hasty vampire, alright, so that's gonna make it so we're dead. Alright, so unfortunate, our decision turn 1 basically of what land to get with Commune ended up mattering a lot here. and we end up dying to a hasty Yahenni. Alright, on to sideboarding, so definitely want to reconfigure our deck slightly, I think. Ranging Raptors looks pretty good at blocking and ramping as well. Don't think we want to Swordtooth. I think Etali is just a bit too slow here. Then we can shave some number of Beneath the Sands as we brought in the Ranging Raptors. And by bringing in 4 dinos, we still have plenty of dinos for the migration. I don't think Ixalan's binding is necessary for the Adento Vanguard. Yeah, this hand looks playable. Do need to find a 3rd land with this Commune, but we're pretty likely to find one. And in fact, Mountain, I think, is a pick. So now we have Ranging Raptors as an early blocker that hopefully ramps us into Regisaur Alpha. Turn 1 Aspirant. Let's play the Mountain our opponent knows about. Another Aspirant. Alright, so it might be Fiery Cannonade time. But I guess we can play the Ranging Raptors first, as then the Cannonade will provide an extra land. Or we can Cannonade right away just to prevent the Legion's Landing from transforming, which would ramp our opponents, but I guess if they're attacking, then we're blocking with the Raptors and we're pretty happy. So it's probably worth it to play out the Raptors here. Hope the opponent doesn't have a cheap removal spell for it. Alright, Dusk Legion Zealot from the opponent, that's perfect. Do we see a suicide attack to transform the landing, or do they just pass? Alright, they are suiciding, which is fine. So let's block the Aspirants, take 3, and we get to ramp here. Let's get a Plains. And our opponent plays a 2nd Legion's Landing, so this Cannonade is gonna be good. So do we want to Cannonade right now? I think we can wait and see what our opponent does. Opponent with Legion Lieutenants, yep, that's acceptable. So that's a good reason to wait with Cannonade. And another Legion's Landing, they're just going all in, saying that we don't have a Fiery Cannonade, but as it turns out we do. And opponent's gonna be pretty sad here as they discover the truth. And we even get to get another basic, get another Plains, I guess. Alright, so now we have 7 mana, which is only enough to cast the Regisaur Alpha, but we're close to casting our 8 drops. And I think we just get in with both. Alright, Commune, I guess we can cast that right now. And yeah, I'm just gonna take the deserts, and do we want Tap Desert or Oasis? I guess we can take the Oasis. And I think we attack with everyone. I don't think we need to play around Settle the Wreckage. Yeah, I'm actually fine if our opponent ramps us here. Yep. Let's get Plains, Mountain, Forest. Could have kept our Regisaur Alpha on defense, just so that all our dinosaurs have haste, but Gishath already has haste, so that's fine. I guess if our opponent is keeping up 4 mana, we would rather just play a Zetalpa, rather than run Gishath into another Settle the Wreckage. So Zetalpa go. Opponent can make a Vampire end of turn, that's fine. So we're just hoping our opponent taps out for a creature here so we can get in with Gishath. Alright, there's a Yahenni. And now we can just jam Gishath. And let's get in with both. They have Vigilance, so no reason not to. Opponent sacrifices a Vampire, makes Yahenni indestructible. And then we trample over for a bunch with Gishath. Opponent's at 2. We get to reveal a bunch of dinosaurs here. Just the Ranging Raptors. And say go. I guess we could have used Hashep Oasis on Zetalpa to just kill our opponent there, but I kind of wanted to see what Gishath could reveal. Alright, Legion's Lieutenant into Mavern Fane. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. And there we go, managed to beat Black-White Vampires with a timely Fiery Cannonade out of the sideboard. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw with a pretty slow hand, but I think a keepable one, just because we have 2 3-mana ramp cards and then Hour of Promise to get us up to 6 and 8. Do need a third land, of course, but Migration's perfect here, so let's play Tapped Crag, Sego. Double Forest into Merfolk Branchwalker, revealing Blossoming Defense, and they decide to keep it. So let's just Migration, revealing, I guess we reveal Etali. Let's get a Mountain. Next turn we can Gift of Paradise plus Desert, set up our Hour of Promise, and Prowling Serpopard, yep, not playing any counter spells here, so Zetalpa is not a bad one, so play the Desert. I guess we do play around a potential Field of Ruin here since our opponent has only showed us Forest so far, and I guess we can enchant a Mountain. Gain 3, and then next turn we can Hour of Promise, making 2 zombies by getting a Shefet Dunes and probably just a Green Desert, and then we're well on our way to casting our dinos. So we do take a big chunk here, down to 13, but our opponent just says go. Yep, let's just Hour of Promise. So definitely want Shefet Dunes, and then the question is, do we want to get a Hashep Oasis, or do we want to get a Desert of the Indomitable so that we are less likely to draw one and more likely to draw Hashep Oasis? I think we still get the Oasis just because the ability could come up. But that is something to think about. If you don't need the ability, then you might want to leave the Hashep Oasis in your deck so that if you draw one of your lands, you don't draw a tapped Desert of the Indomitable. And Ghalta, Primal Hunger. Alright, that's scary. And that's also a dinosaur, so it doesn't die to our Awakening Sun's avatar. Opponent does attack with both. So I think we actually block both just to preserve our life total, since Etali can just block the Serpopard. But I guess we know about the Blossoming Defense our opponent has in hand. I guess the play is to Migration plus Regisaur, and then next turn we can Zetalpa or Avatar. Don't really see a better play. Reveal Regisaur, and here we want to get, I guess, another Plains, and then cast Regisaur. And the token's gonna stay on defense. Opponent gets in with both, so we definitely have to block Ghalta since we know about the Blossoming Defense, and then I guess we might as well block the Dino on the Serpopard to prevent more damage. Opponent lets it happen. We're down to 5, and Long Tusk up, that's fine. So we can cast Awakening Sun's Avatar, but that doesn't really help us. Zetalpa can prevent 8 from Ghalta, still take 4, 6 from the Cub plus Blossoming Defense, so that doesn't work. So yeah, Ghalta being a dinosaur here, definitely relevant. So I think we're just dead here, and don't see what we can draw into. So Ghalta is a problem for us, so let's try to address it with Ixalan's Binding, and I guess we can bring in Ranging Raptors since their opponent is attacking us, so the Ranging Raptors can block and then maybe ramp us. And I guess we take out the Swordtooth to Beneath the Sand since we have Ranging Raptors as a replacement ramp card, and I think Etali is going to have a hard time attacking, and then take out one Awakening Sun's Avatar since Ghalta doesn't die to it. Alright, this looks okay. Would like to play first, and the sand is acceptable. Turn 1, let's Commune. And we find a Ranging Raptors and a Desert. I think we can take the Ranging Raptors here. So turn 2 we can Migration, revealing the Raptors, get a Plains. Greenbelt Rampager produces an energy. So let's Migration, reveal Ranging Raptors that they know about, get a Plains. There's the Rampager again. So the opponent can just keep it in play now. Alright, Regisaur Alpha number 2. Let's just play Ranging Raptors. Say go. Not sure if we're blocking with the Raptors right away, since we don't actually need the mana right away. Opponent with another Rampager. I guess our opponent might not attack us with the Rampagers in the future, once we establish Regisaur Alpha as a blocker. So I guess we're fine blocking here. Get our 3 life and a land out of the deal. So essentially like our enchantment. Yeah, let's get another Plains. And a Longtusk Cub as a follow-up. Hour of Promise is not a bad pickup, so I guess that's a play over Regisaur Alpha. Get a Shefet Dunes, and I think we just get a Desert of the Indomitable here. Could also go for the Arch, but then we don't get the zombies. So yeah, let's get a Desert of the Indomitable. Another Rampager. And now the Cub can attack into our 2 zombies. So if they have a pump spell like Blossoming Defense, if we double block the Cub, then we just trade Blossoming Defense for our 2 zombies essentially, which I guess is fine. So let's double block the Cub. They just let the Cub die. Alright. We just want to get as many creatures off the board as possible to prevent a potential Ghalta from being cast. Ixalan's Binding is perfect here, since now we have an answer to Ghalta and all future Ghaltas. So let's play Migration, revealing Regisaur. Get a Mountain, and then cast a Regisaur Alpha. No attacks, but still a nice body to have on the ground, while we try and draw into one of our more powerful dinosaurs. Opponent gets in with both. Think I'm fine with blocking like this. They basically need 2 pump spells to have good attacks here. And if they do, that's fine, since we have a follow-up Regisaur. Alright, that's pump spell number 1. Alright, they just had the 1. And a Serpopard, yep. Let's play Regisaur number 2. And I'm gonna hold on to the Ixalan's Binding for now. Not really in a hurry to cast it. Yep, there's Ghalta. And they're tapped out, so they can't cast Blossoming Defense to protect it. Serpopard gets in. Yeah, I'll block. Let's get rid of the Elder Dinosaur and all future Ghaltas as well. Could start getting aggressive here with our deserts, but don't really see a reason to quite yet. I guess trading 4 damage for 3 damage is okay. Alright, Bristling Hydra. Only 3 energy. And the elephant is getting in there. Alright, let's try and draw a big dino here. Nope, just a mountain. So, do we want to start using our deserts, and if so, which ones? I think we're better off just playing defense here. Just because I believe we have better draws than our opponent. Opponent sacrifices the desert to pump up Bristling Hydra. So what happens if we double block? Opponent just pumps up the Hydra with their 3 energy. Do we want to take it or do we want to chump with the zombie? I think I'm okay taking it here. I think the zombie has more utility than just gaining 7 life. And a Longtusk Cub is a follow-up. And there we go, Zacama is exactly what we were looking for. So let's make a whole bunch of mana. So Zacama enters battlefield, get to untap all our lands, and I think we just start mowing down our opponent's creatures here. So we can deal 3 to the Bristling Hydra, they can give it hexproof, and then in response we can deal 3 once again. So that's 1 creature gone, and I guess we just shoot down everything here. And yeah, let's just double activate. Could be that there was a sequence of activations of deserts that could let us win on the spot. But this is pretty much winning on the spot as our opponent falls to 1. And alright, we get to go to a game 3. Our opponent did see Ixalan's Binding, they could bring in some answers to that. Do we want to bring in our Sun's Avatar again, since Bristling Hydra could be a problem? And maybe we can shave another Beneath the Sands. Try this configuration. Opponent will be on the play here. And Ranging Raptors is a kind of card we want in our opener. This hand's pretty land heavy, but we do have 2 deserts, so we can search up an Arch with the Hour of Promise as well. I think this is a keep, and then hope that we can draw into one of our more expensive dinos at some point. Alright, perfect. So do we want to play this tapped desert, or do we want to keep it to maybe cycle later? I think we do play it, since now we did pick up an 8 mana dino, so it's unlikely that we end up cycling the desert, and we also want the deserts in play for Hour of Promise. So our opponent gets to make a 3/4 on turn 2, so that's gonna hit us once before we can make a Ranging Raptors. Let's play tapped Rootbound Crag, say go. Opponent with their own desert, so hopefully no follow-up here. Alright, a Longtusk Cub, which we do get to block here with our Ranging Raptors, so there's that. Another Rampager, so that can give them 2 energy for Longtusk Cub. So now our opponent can attack. So if we block with the Raptors, we force them to use the energy on the Cub. And then next turn we can Hour of Promise, making 2 zombies. That seems fine. Opponent pumps a Cub. Take 3. Do we just want to get a Plains? Yeah, I think so. And our opponent plays the Rampager to get an energy. Alright. Mountain to draw. Let's play the Mountain and play Hour of Promise. So only need 1 desert, so let's get Shefet Dunes and Arch of Orazca. So now we have triple white for Awakening Sun's Avatar. And next turn we can run out Gishath, potentially. Alright, so our opponent clearly has a pump spell, but I think we're fine with that. Just double block the Cub and make them use it. Alright, never mind. So we're down to 11. Opponent plays a Branch Walker. Alright, so this is our window for Gishath to deliver some dinos, since next turn we could be staring down a Ghalta. Migration is nice and all, but we're just gonna slam this Gishath. And I think we can attack with the zombie here. Don't expect our opponent to remove Gishath. And wow, let's see here. Got a Zetalpa, Zacama, and Awakening Sun's Avatar. don't get the effects from these since we didn't actually cast them, but our opponent scoops it up, and I don't blame them. So that was a pretty good Gishath hit, and we'll be back with the next one. Alright, we're on the draw with a good looking hand here, so we'll keep. We've got 2 deserts already, 2 3-mana ramp cards, an Hour of Promise, and then a big payoff card here in Wakening Sun's Avatar. Opponent with a Commune with Dinosaurs, so Wakening Sun's Avatar might not be as good as we would hope, but we still have a nice ramp draw here, so... Alright, let's play a desert, say go. Opponent with Thunderherd Migration, revealing the same Regisaur Raptor that they found with Commune. And Regisaur Alpha the draw. So here, do we want to cycle Beneath the Sands or not? Not entirely sure. So next turn we're casting Gift of Paradise. Cycling Beneath the Sands has an advantage here if we're looking to draw an additional land, but the fail case if we don't draw land is pretty high, since then we can't cast Hour of Promise even in 2 turns. I think I'm gonna try to cycle into a land here, and then hope that in the next 3 draw steps we can at least find 1 land. Find a Commune. Alright, so things could get sketchy if we miss on a land here. But I guess Commune can find us a land as well, although we would prefer an untapped land. Alright, perfect. So let's Gift of Paradise, enchanting the forests. So next turn we can choose between Regisaur Alpha or Hour of Promise. Another Commune, reveals forests. And a Drover of the Mighty, the follow-up. Alright, so we're not in a terrible spot here. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have something like Savage Stomp to kill the Regisaur Alpha with the Regisaur Raptor, but I think we're gonna Hour of Promise first, just to develop our mana a bit more, and give us more options in future turns. Gift of Paradise as well, so let's Hour of Promise. And we already have 2 deserts, so we only need to get 1 more, and then we can either get a mountain or an Arch of Orazca. Think I like getting an Arch here, and then getting a Hashep Oasis. Yep. And we're close to Ascend. If our opponent attacks, I'll double block the Drover, but it's unlikely that we see an attack from the Drover here, unless the opponent has a trick. But most tricks in the opponent's deck are probably red cards, and they can't actually cast a red card if they attack with the Drover. Looks like our opponent's tapping a lot of mana, and it's a Regisaur Alpha. So if they attack with everyone, we can still double block the Drover. Opponent sending in everyone. So let's double block the Drover. Opponent will be unable to cast any red spells they have. And we take 7 down to 12. And next turn we have to decide if we want to play out another Hour of Promise, if we just want to make a big blocker with Awakening Sun's Avatar, or if we want to play Regisaur Alpha. I guess we probably want to chum block with our zombie token before playing out the Awakening Sun's Avatar, since that will destroy our zombie. So we fall to 12. And Wayward Swordtooth to draw. 5/5 blocker isn't bad. We have 8 permanents towards Ascend at the moment. So I think here we start by casting Gift of Paradise, enchanting the desert. Want to make sure not to tap the desert we enchant. And then we can cast another Hour of Promise here, making some more blockers. So let's get Mountain and I guess Rootbound Crag. So now we have the City's Blessing. Opponent gets in with everyone. Let's go to blocks. So here we have a few options. We can double block the Dinosaur token and then chump the Regisaur Alpha. Only take 4 down to 11. Or we can triple block the Regisaur Raptor, let our opponent draw a card, but then they get to keep the Regisaur. Or we can just put everything in front of the Regisaur Alpha, take 7, which might actually be okay here. Just getting rid of the Regisaur, keeping a zombie token around. Seems fine. So we're down to 8. But now we can do big things like casting 2 Regisaur Alphas in the same turn. The other option is casting Commune, and then we can still play Swordtooth plus Regisaur, which seems fine as well, and gives us a few more options. So sure, let's play Commune first, see what we can find. And looks like we found a Regisaur Alpha, which we'll take here. Any order. And then we can play Regisaur Alpha. Make a Dino. And then play a Swordtooth. We could attack here, but I would rather play defense and then set up an attack next turn. If our opponent has another Regisaur Alpha, or Regisaur Alpha plus Savage Stomp, we could be in trouble if we attack. So I would rather play defense, since we do have the Arch for the late game. Opponent just passes. Alright, this is where we want to be. So let's get in with the Swordtooth. I'm fine trading with the Ribjar Raptor. And then we can play another Regisaur and start activating Arch of Orazca. Opponent just chumps, interesting. Second main, play Regisaur. And their opponent scoops it up. Alright, on to sideboarding against another dinosaur deck. So Ixalan's Binding looks like a nice addition, and Awakening Sun's Avatar looks pretty poor here. Do we want anything else? Could see Ranging Raptors being okay, but probably don't need them. So have to make one more cut. Can probably take out an Etali, which might have a hard time attacking into the opponent's board. And this hand looks acceptable. If we draw more lands, the Swordtooth can ramp us a bit, and otherwise we have the Gift of Paradise as well. Let's play a desert first, I guess. So you don't have to take damage when casting Commune. Opponent has their own Commune, and they find another Rootbound Crag, and they just play it. Alright, let's lead with Commune, and find Wayward Swordtooth, Forest, or Regisaur Alpha. I think I'm fine with taking the Regisaur Alpha here. Gives us a play for turn 4. And for now we can play Hashep Oasis, say go. So here we can play out Swordtooth first, get some value right away. Opponent with Migration, revealing Thrashing Brontodon. So they do have a potential answer to our Gift of Paradise or Ixalan's Binding, which we have to keep in mind. Let's just play a Swordtooth. And play Rootbound Crag, say go. And I guess next turn, if they can't answer the Swordtooth, we could already play Etali ahead of schedule, so that's nice. Opponent just with another Commune, revealing a mountain. And they're unable to cast the Brontodon. Alright, I think we just jam Etali here. Resolves. And next turn, by playing Regisaur Alpha, we can already ascend. Opponent with a Needletooth Raptor. Alright, that's not bad actually, since that can block our Etali and maybe blow up the Swordtooth or just kill Etali on the spot. But we can also just play Regisaur Alpha to keep up the pressure. And just attack with everyone and see what we reveal with Etali. Looks like we found an Hour of Promise and then unclaimed territory from our opponent, so let's cast Hour of Promise. And let's see, get a Shefet Dunes and I guess a Plains, since we already have the required amount of deserts. Opponent can block, and they can either take out Etali or chump Etali and take out something else. Looks like they're happy taking out Etali, but they still take a lot of damage. I think we keep the desert in hand to cycle it. Say go for now. And their opponent is in a world of trouble. I guess they could have something like Hour of Devastation here, but nope, looks like just a Ribjar Raptor. I guess we'll just play Gishath. Otherwise I was just gonna activate some deserts, but playing a Gishath is a lot sweeter. get in with everyone, and I think our opponent's pretty dead. And yep, there's a concession. Awesome, so managed to beat an opposing Dino deck with our Dino Ramp deck. So I want to thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for supporting the channel, and you can do so yourself as well over at patreon.com/LegenVD, where you get cool rewards for supporting the channel, as well as getting us closer to our goals, where with every goal reached, we will release an additional weekly series. So if you want to see more content, Patreon is the place to go.